Florida's going to be under the ocean. You know, I've been warning people for years to get out of Florida. Now I realize the Lord still has warriors there to get work done. But the time's going to come when you're going to hear His call to get out of Florida. Just as you're going to hear to get away from California, to get away from the West Coast, to get away from the southwestern states, to get away from the East Coast. Always be listening for His voice and His urging in your spirit. There's going to be a lot of destructions coming. And so I wouldn't leave South America to head to America. That's the last place I'd be heading, is to America. Especially when you've got a president who's a psychopath. He's schizophrenic. He swears he hears from God. He's totally convinced that he hears from God. He's got this Messiah complex that is going to get probably even more public. Because I see it in the codes all the time. He literally just thinks he's God. He's got this Messiah complex. He thinks he's God. And couldn't be any happier that people are suffering and starving. So do you think he cares that women and children are being tortured in Iraq? Do you think he cares about women and children being tortured and blown up in Israel? I mean, these people are sadistic. They want you to be tortured and suffer. They live on that. They live on the energy and the evil it creates. And I termed it louche. Somebody else termed it louche. I call it louche too. It's an energy that they feed off of. Some people call it a vampire energy. Everybody's trying to find that one term that could just describe it. I call it louche. And I have an article on it, the Net Masters. You can read it at SherryTalkRadio.com. Just go into my articles section and read my article on the Net Masters. And it talks about louche and how Satan's kingdom operates and how they feed off of this energy. But that's what they are. They're evil, sadistic beings. And part of their whole program right now is to spread diseases and plagues to afflict people and animals. I know you hear a lot about, these last year in Europe especially, I think they wiped out thousands and thousands of chickens on the accusation or the alleging that they had bird flu. A lot of these are imagined and real, so you never know which one it is. But they fully intend on wiping out the animals of the world to get rid of our food supply. You know, they don't want, when they're trying to force this famine, and this famine is a forced famine. I've said it all along. It's a forced famine. They're making it happen. They're causing it to happen. And they're using their weather weapons to make it happen, sabotaging it any way they can by diseasing and plaguing animals to make it happen. It's just simple farm crops. If you're trying to plant crops, flooding them out, burning them out with droughts, whatever they can do. This whole famine is forced, and it's going to circle the world. It's going to hit the world, the underlying nations, before it hits America and the UK. Those will be the last two nations it hits, and then boom. Because America and the UK have always been the leaders and instigators, the controllers of this whole Satan's plan on Earth. And so they'll be the last ones to hit. Because they can keep media blackouts on everything else. You know, as South America starves, as Africa starves, as island countries, nations around the world are starving, our media will black it out, and they already are. And I'm sure they're doing the same thing in the UK. So everybody else needs to be getting busy and stocking up on food, because it's not going to get better. It's not going to get better. I've said once, you know, we head down this hill. We're not going back up it. Things aren't going to be the same. Things aren't going to revert back to being better, being normal again. I think I spent some time last week telling people it's time to get over the fact it's an emotional hump of the direction your country's going in, because things aren't going to be the same again. We're in the last days. We're the generation that's going to experience all of the things that John warned about before the Antichrist comes. Eventually he'll be destroyed, and we'll have the real second coming of Yahushua. But until then, we've got a couple of years of some hideous events coming. Not only just the famine. I've talked about the renegade iceberg I keep seeing in the codes. And some people sent me a email about an iceberg breaking off, something like 7 times the size of Manhattan or whatever. I don't know if that's the iceberg I'm seeing in the codes or not. But it's going to cause a lot of destruction, this iceberg. I don't know if it's going to melt or it's just going to float. I don't know what it's going to do. But look for that to cause on the Pacific. I look for that to hit the West Coast. The destruction of the Pacific. Let's see, what else do I have? Another thing I want to talk about is, I know a lot of you keep up on the whole rhetoric for martial law coming to America. And it's coming. Bush has already got it arranged. He's arranging it. He's got armies being arranged. This stuff can happen quickly. Because a lot of the destruction I see that's coming, Bush is still in office. And Lord knows he's got till November, even January, to still wreak a lot of destruction on this country, if he's allowed. We've got to do what we can to hamper his plans. We've done pretty good at hampering the Air Force and the Navy with their chemtrail program. We've done pretty good at counter-defensing and counteracting against weapons being aimed at us, and burning and frying us while we're sleeping at night. And you know, I've been encouraging you guys to just pray and ask the Lord to fry the chips in their microwave weapons so they no longer work. Make them unrepairable, unrecoverable. You know, anything you can think of, even if it seems silly at the time, just ask the Lord. Because if you don't know how to fix something or how to stop something that's happening to you, it's real easy. Just ask the Lord what to pray for. Just ask Him what to pray for. Just ask, what should I ask for? Okay, they're frying me with this thing. My skin feels like it's on fire, but I'm not on literal fire, but I feel like I'm on fire. What do I need to pray for? And He'll tell you how to pray. He'll tell you what to ask for. So that's real simple. Is to just ask Him and then get busy. You know what to ask for then. And so we need to come up with ways to stop this martial law, these plans they have against America, because it's coming. I know I'm getting emails from people talking about they're noticing, and this is nationwide, people in different cities across the country noticing that their local militaries are mobilizing. They're seeing military trucks being stored, put in yards. Actually seeing soldiers on these trucks being moved around. And you gotta wonder where they're coming from, since Bush did such a good job of destroying most of the army in Iraq, which was really his whole point of going to Iraq. Get rid of the soldiers of fighting age. He didn't want them here in this country when this country is overthrown. So that was the whole point of going to the Middle East. And so how these wars around the world to get rid of fighting age men and women out of here. So that when he overthrows this country as a pure dictatorship, there's nobody here to fight him. But he lives in his own dreamland, you know, he's... If he doesn't think 40, 50, and 60-year-old women won't get out there with guns just to shoot his butt, he's crazy. Because I'll tell you what, people are ready to fight. People are fed up with the Satanists running this country. And too many people will stand up and do something about it. And so, the one thing I've enjoyed over the years is throwing wrenches in his plans. Seeing them come, and then throwing wrenches in them. And I saw how effective that was just with the fun things to do list, and how to destroy their underground bases. And so we need to come up with a list on how to destroy all these military vehicles, and all these, all these camps they're building above ground. Somebody mentioned on the list today, I was reading through before the show, we need to come up with one thing at a time, and then all the warriors concentrate and target that one prayer. So we're all praying for it at the same time, and then watch it happen, because it happens. So I think we need to really, I don't know, seems to be a lot of mobilization. It doesn't seem to me like they can get around if they don't have wheels. Or, let's give the angels some fun stuff to do. Disable all their vehicles. Any way they want to, so we'll just leave it open and blank so the angels can have a field day. Instead of just targeting tires. Flat tires. Some of you guys know how to immobilize military vehicles a lot better than I do.